Hey there, listener. You ever had one of those nights where you're alone in your house and you hear a creak from a hallway that just doesn't sound right? Like, it's not the house settling. It's something else, something watching you from the shadows. That's how it started for me, back in that old Victorian in upstate New York. I swear, what happened next still keeps me up at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it's really over. Before I dive into this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we got a ton more terrifying tales coming your way. Alright, so let me set the scene. My name's Alex Thompson, and this all went down about 5 years ago. I was living in Rochester, New York, working as a software engineer for some mid-sized tech firm. Life was pretty routine. Wake up, code all day, grab a beer with friends on weekends. But then my grandma passed away and left me her old house in a small town called Fairport, just outside the city. It was this creaky, 3-story beast built in the 1800s, with those high ceilings and dusty attics you see in movies. I figured, why not? Rent in Rochester was killing me, and a free house sounded like a win. Big mistake. I moved in during the fall, when the leaves were turning all those fiery reds and oranges. The place needed work. Peeling wallpaper, leaky faucets, but it had charm, you know? My buddy Mike helped me haul boxes, and we joke about ghosts the whole time. Dude, this is straight out a horror flick, he said, lugging a couch up the stairs. I laughed it off. I'm not the superstitious type. Grew up in a practical family. Dad was a mechanic, mom a teacher. No room for fairy tales. The first few weeks were fine. I'd come home from work, microwave some dinner, binge Netflix in the living room. The house was quiet, almost too quiet, but I chalked it up to being in the suburbs. No traffic noise like in the city. One night, though, around midnight, I was in bed scrolling through my phone when I heard it. A soft thump from downstairs, like someone dropping a book. I froze, heart picking up a bit. Probably the wind, I muttered to myself. But there was no wind that night. The air outside was still as death. I grabbed my baseball bat from under the bed, just in case, and crept down the stairs. The wooden steps creaked under my feet, each one echoing louder than the last. The living room was empty, lights off. I flicked the switch, and the bulb buzzed alive, casting long shadows across the furniture. Nothing out of place. I checked the kitchen, the back door, locked tight. Shrugging it off, I went back to bed, but sleep didn't come easy. That thump replayed in my head, over and over. The next morning, I laughed about it over coffee. Getting paranoid in my old age, I said to my reflection in the mirror. I was 32, not old, but you know how it is. Work was stressful that week, deadlines piling up, so maybe my mind was playing tricks. But then it happened again a couple nights later. Thump, this time, followed by a faint scrape like nails on wood. I bolted upright, sweat beading on my forehead. Grabbed the bat again, heart pounding like a drum. Downstairs, same deal, nothing. But as I turned to head back up, I noticed something. The basement door, which I kept closed since moving in, place was full of junk, was ajar, just a crack. I pushed it open, shining my phone's flashlight down the stairs. Musty smell hit me, damp earth and old paper. The beam caught boxes stacked haphazardly, cobwebs draping like curtains. No sign of anyone. Hello? I called out, feeling stupid. Silence. I shut the door, locked it this time, and tried to forget. Over the next few days, things escalated slowly, like a pot simmering before it boils. I'd hear whispers, faint, indistinguishable, like voices murmuring through the walls. At first, I thought it was the neighbors, but the houses were spaced far apart. Then the shadows started playing tricks. I'd be cooking dinner, and out of the corner of my eye, I'd see a shape dart across the room. Turn around, nothing. The silence in that house was oppressive, broken only by those random sounds. A floorboard groan here, a distant tap there. I started avoiding the basement altogether. Told myself it was irrational, but every time I passed that door, a chill ran down my spine. One evening, after a long day at the office, I decided to clear out some of the old stuff down there. Maybe facing it head-on would help. Armed with gloves and a trash bag, I descended into the gloom. The air was thicker, colder than upstairs. Boxes labeled in faded ink, Christmas decor, old photos, miscellaneous. I rifled through one, yellowed newspapers from the 70s, family albums with strangers' faces. Deeper in, behind a stack of crates, I found a small door I'd never noticed before. It was painted to blend with the wall, almost hidden. Curiosity got the better of me. I tugged it open, revealing a narrow crawl space. Inside, dusty shelves lined with jars. Pickles? No. Closer look, specimens. Bugs pinned to boards, small bones, weird herbs. What the hell? Grandma was into crafts, but this felt off. At the back, a leather-bound journal caught my eye. I flipped it open. Pages filled with cramped handwriting, dated from the 1950s. The entries were from my great-uncle Harold, who I'd heard died young. The whispers started again last night. One read, "They call my name from the walls. I mustn't listen." My skin prickled. Another, "Saw the shadow man in the mirror today. He's getting closer." I slammed it shut, heart racing. This was nuts. Harold had mental issues, right? That's what family lore said. He'd been committed. That night, sleep evaded me. Every creak amplified. Every shadow loomed larger. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps, clear as day, padding up the stairs. I sat up frozen. The bedroom door was closed, but I swear I saw the knob turn slowly. Click. It didn't open, but the air grew heavy, like someone was breathing on the other side. The next day, I called Mike. "Dude, this house is freaking me out." I told him over lunch at a diner in town. He laughed. "You're imagining things, man. Old houses make noises." But he agreed to crash over that weekend. Safety in numbers, right? Friday night, we grilled burgers in the backyard, cracked open some beers. The sun set, painting the sky in bloody hues. Inside, we watched the game on TV, volume up to drown out the quiet. Around midnight, Mike crashed on the couch. I headed upstairs, but paused at the landing. That basement door, ajar again. I'd locked it, swearing under my breath. I shut it tight. In bed, I tossed and turned. Then, the whispers returned. Louder this time, almost words. "Alex, come down." My blood ran cold. Was that my name? No way. I pulled the covers over my head like a kid. A crash from downstairs jolted me awake. Glass breaking. I grabbed the bat, rushed down. The living room window was shattered. Shards everywhere. Mike was up, wild-eyed. "What the fuck?" he yelled. Outside, nothing. No footprints. No sign of intruders. But as we cleaned up, I noticed something etched into the windowsill. Listen. We didn't sleep much after that. Mike suggested calling the cops. But what would I say? My house is haunted by whispers. They'd laugh me out. Saturday, we explored the basement together. Found that journal again. Read more. Harold wrote about a presence in the house. Something that fed on fear. He tried to leave, but it followed him. Last entry. It's in my head now. Goodbye. Mike was spooked, but tried to play it cool. Probably just a crazy relative. Let's get out for a bit. We drove to Rochester, hit a bar. But on the way back, my car radio flickered. Static bursting with faint voices. "Stay with US." That night, things went to hell. We were in the kitchen, making sandwiches when the power cut out. Pitch black. Fuse box. Mike suggested it was in the basement. Of course. Flashlights in hand, we descended. The air felt alive, buzzing with tension. At the bottom, our beam swept over boxes, then caught a figure, tall, shadowy, standing in the corner. It turned face obscured, but I felt its eyes on me. We bolted upstairs, slamming the door, barricaded it with a chair, hearts hammering. We huddled in the living room. Silence, then knocking from inside the door. Slow, deliberate. Mike wanted to leave, but it was storming outside now, rain lashing the windows. "In the morning," I said, but the knocks grew louder, rhythmic. Then voices. "Open up, Alex." We didn't sleep. Dawn broke, gray and dismal. The knocking stopped. We grabbed our stuff, fled to Mike's place in the city. I never went back alone. hired movers to pack everything, sold the house at a loss. But sometimes, even now in my apartment, I hear whispers in the night, faint calling my name. The whispers follow me to the city, at first so faint I could pretend they would hum the fridge or traffic bleeding through the apartment walls. But by the third week of my new place, a sterile one-bedroom on the 8th floor of a concrete tower in downtown Rochester, they grew bolder. They knew my name now, and they used it like a hook. It started with the mirrors. I'd catch a glimpse of movement behind my reflection, just a flicker at the edge, like someone stepping out of frame the instant I turned. I stopped shaving for days because I couldn't stand looking into the bathroom glass. Then came the dreams, the same dream every night. I'm back in the Fairport house, descending the basement stairs that never end. The shadow man waits at the bottom, taller than the ceiling should allow, arms too long, fingers brushing the steps above him as he climbs toward me. He never has a face, just a smooth, blank oval where features should be, but I feel him smiling. I tried everything rational. Therapy. The doctor called it acute stress response with paranoid features. Prescribed sertraline and told me to journal my triggers. I filled 3 notebooks in a month, pages crammed with the same frantic sentence. It's still here. Mike stopped answering my texts after the second time I called him at 3 a.m., convinced someone was in the apartment. He said I sounded unhinged. Maybe I was. I started sleeping with every light on, TV blaring infomercials for company. Didn't help. The voices slipped through the noise, patient, amused. One night in early winter, the power went out across the whole building. Storm, they said later, ice on the lines. My apartment plunged into black. I sat on the couch clutching the old baseball bat I'd brought from the house, listening to the wind howl against the windows. Then, soft as breath, "Alex, we missed you." I swung the bat at nothing. The impact jarred my arms. I'd hit the coffee table. Blood dripped from a gash on my shin, warm and sticky. In the dark, the whispers multiplied, overlapping, coming from every corner of the room at once. "Listen now." Open the door. Harold couldn't run either. That last one froze me. I hadn't told anyone about the journal, not even the therapist. I fumbled with my phone, thumbed the flashlight on. The beam shook across the living room, catching ordinary things, couch, TV, bookshelf, until it landed on the hallway mirror I'd covered with a sheet weeks ago. The sheet was on the floor. In the glass stood the shadow man, right behind my reflection, head tilted, blank face inches from the back of my neck. I screamed, dropped the phone. The light spun across the carpet as the screen cracked. Darkness swallowed everything again, but I felt the air change, heavy cold like the basement all over. Footsteps, slow, from the hallway toward me. Bare feet on hardwood. I ran blind, crashed into the front door, chains and deadbolt rattling as I fought them open, burst into the corridor, slammed the door behind me, and pounded on my neighbors until Mrs. Alvarez let me in, terrified by the blood on my leg and the wild look in my eyes. The building super found nothing in my apartment. No forced entry, no footprints, mirror intact. Just a sheet on the floor and a broken phone. I didn't go back for my things. Crashed on friends' couches, then a cheap motel outside town. But the dreams followed. The footsteps followed. One morning I woke in a motel with scratches down my arm. 3 parallel lines, deep enough to scar. I hadn't owned nails long enough to do that in years. I drove west until the money ran low. Ended up in a nowhere town in Ohio, renting a room above a bar. New name on the lease, cash only. For a while it was quiet. Months. I almost believed I'd outrun it. Then last week, cleaning out the single drawer in the nightstand, I found it. The leather-bound journal. Same cracked cover. Same yellowed pages. Harold's cramped handwriting ending mid-sentence on the last entry. I never packed it. I know I didn't. I opened it anyway. There was new writing beneath Harold's final goodbye. Fresh ink. My own shade of blue ballpoint I'd been using at the motel desk. It read, "He thinks distance matters. Tell him we live in the walls of every house he'll ever hide in. Tell him we're patient. Tell Alex we're already inside." I haven't slept since. I'm writing this on a library computer, because I threw my phone away. If you're reading this, don't say my name out loud. Don't think it too hard. It listens. It always has. I burned the journal that same night. Drove out to an empty field off some county road. Doused the thing in lighter fluid I'd bought at a gas station and watched the pages curl and blacken under the stars. The flames hissed like they were angry, spitting sparks that smelled wrong. Sulfur and wet earth. When it was nothing but ash, I ground it under my boot heel until there was nothing left but gray dust that clung to my fingers no matter how hard I wiped them on my jeans. For 3 days, silence. Real silence. I slept 8 hours straight for the first time in years. I even laughed at something on the bar TV downstairs. A dumb commercial about insurance. I thought I'd won. Then the bar owner, Ray, knocked on my door one morning. He held out a small package wrapped in brown paper. No postage. No address except my fake name scrawled in handwriting I didn't recognize. "Some kid dropped this off yesterday," he said, frowning. Didn't say a word, just left it on the counter and walked out. My stomach dropped before I even touched it. The paper was soft, almost damp. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It showed me asleep in the bed. I was standing next to right then, mouth open, one arm flung over my face. Taken from the corner of the room, near the window, the timestamp in the bottom corner read 2 nights ago. The night I thought I'd slept so well. On the back in fresh blue ballpoint. "We see you even when you don't see us. Burning only makes us hungry." I left Ohio that afternoon. Didn't tell Ray where I was going. Just paid cash for the week and walked out with the clothes on my back and the photo in my pocket. Drove south this time. No plan, just away. Ended up in a coastal town in North Carolina where the salt air burns your lungs and nobody asks questions if you pay up front. Rented a ground floor studio in a crumbling motel that smelled of mildew and old cigarette smoke. The walls were thin cinder block, painted that sickly mint green you only see in places people give up on. No mirrors except the tiny one over the sink. I smashed it the first day with the heel of my shoe. 7 years bad luck? I was already carrying a lifetime. The first week was almost peaceful. Ocean noise through cracked window. Gulls screaming at dawn. I took long walks on the beach at night, letting the cold Atlantic water numb my feet. Told myself the thing couldn't cross water. Stupid, childish logic, but I clung to it. Then the scratching started. Not loud, just enough to hear when the AC unit clicked off. Slow, deliberate, like fingernails testing plaster for weakness. Always from inside the wall behind the bed. I'd sit up and press my ear to it. Nothing. But the moment I lay back down, it began again. Patient. Searching. One night, I couldn't take it. I grabbed a little motel lamp, yanked the cord from the wall, and swung the base into the cinder block as hard as I could. Once. Twice. Dust puffed out, and the scratching stopped mid-drag. A small hole opened, no bigger than a fist. I shone my phone light inside. The space between walls was dark, webbed with old insulation. Something glinted deep in there. Glass? Metal? Then the light caught it fully. A single jar, just like the ones in Grandma's hidden crawl space. Inside floated a pale, curled thing that might once have been an ear. Next to it, pinned to the pink fiberglass with a rusted nail, was a fresh Polaroid. Me, standing in the hole I just made, staring into the wall, taken from inside. I stumbled back so fast I tripped over bed, cracked my head on the dresser. When I came to, blood sticky in my hair. The hole was gone. Wall smooth, paint unmarked. No dust on the carpet. The lamp sat innocently on the nightstand, cord neatly plugged in. I checked out at 4 a.m., left the key on the counter, drove north again, then west, then north, zigzagging like a cornered animal. Every motel, every rented room, every couch I crashed on, it found new ways. A child's handprint on the inside of a steamed-up shower door after I'd been alone for hours. My own voice on a voicemail I never left. Stop running, Alex. We're tired of chasing. A single long black hair coiled in the drain of a sink I hadn't used yet. I stopped using my name. Told people to call me whatever they wanted. Cut my hair short, grew a beard, wore sunglasses indoors like some paranoid celebrity. It didn't matter. It knew the shape of me, the sound of my heartbeat. Last month, I thought I finally figured it out. Fire didn't work. Distance didn't work. Maybe the opposite, total exposure. I checked myself into a psych ward voluntarily. Bright lights 24/7. Nurses checking every hour, no privacy. No shadows long enough to hide anything. Safety in being watched. They put me on heavier meds. Group therapy. Art class. I drew the shadow man over and over until the pages tore. The doctor said I was making progress. That the entity was a manifestation of inherited trauma. Maybe even schizophrenia triggered by finding Harold's journal. For 10 days, nothing happened. On the 11th night, lights out was at 10 p.m. The ward was quiet except for the usual snores and coughs. I lay staring at the ceiling, counting the acoustic tiles like always. Then the PA system crackled. Just once. A soft click, like someone picking up a microphone in an empty room. Every speaker in the ward, hallways, patient rooms, nurse's station, whisper the same 3 words at once, gentle, almost loving. We're inside now. The overhead lights flickered for 1 second, maybe less. Every shadow in the room stretched toward my bed, reaching, fingers forming at the ends. The nurses found me an hour later, sitting in the corner, rocking, mouth bleeding from where I'd bitten through my lip to keep from screaming. I wouldn't let them touch me. Kept shouting that it was in the walls, in the wires, in their eyes. They moved me to a padded room. No corners. No shadows at all under the constant fluorescent glare. But I can still hear it. It's quieter here. Intimate. Like it's speaking directly into the bone behind my ear. It says I was wrong to think it lived in houses. It lives in the space between me and everything else. In every silence I try to fill. In every name I refuse to answer to. It says Harold understood eventually. That's why he stopped writing. It says my turn is coming. And when I finally stop fighting, when I let the silence in all the way, it will give me a new name. One no one else can ever say out loud. One that will make me smile with a mouth that isn't only mine anymore.